Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to another video of the Sister Vlogs.
We have a special guest for 2020 Ramadan team.
We thought that it's time that we learn about Islam from a different perspective, from a strong practicing Muslim woman. Our guest is an activist. She's an international spoken word poet, and she's also represented a strong case at the United Nations. So, and we're so lucky to interview her. So everyone, please welcome the one and only Amal Kassir.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Cutie, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to our channel.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm so happy you invited me.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're getting to interview you. We were so excited when we got your message. We were like, oh my gosh, you replied to us.
Yeah. I think you can only imagine how excited I was to learn about all the kinds of stuff you guys are doing. And this is my first interview by someone as young as you two. So I hope I do good. I'm a little nervous.
You should have seen our reaction. We were nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I say? Am I gonna say? I got so nervous.
And the nicest thing that you said on the message on Instagram was that I'm like your big sister.
Yeah, that message, like, that was so
It's the truth, honestly, mashallah. I'm very, very humbled. I feel very lucky that you guys reached out to me, so thank you.
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, for accepting our request. Our mom, for Ramadan, since, we're all locked up, in lockdown and quarantine, we thought that...
How is your fasting going and how is your Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah. It's different Ramadan for sure, right? Like you said, with all this quarantine and stuff. But I think because it's a little difficult and different, we're trying extra hard to be the best Muslims that we can be right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so we thought that we could do something different. So our mom made like these 30-day challenges where every day we have a new challenge. And one of the challenges was to talk to someone who inspires us. And you inspired us a lot.
That means so much to me. You have no idea.
You're welcome. You do such a great job, that's why.
Jazakallah khair. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of discipline, making sure you do everything you need to do to be the best you can be.
Yeah. So I would like to know one thing. How do you pronounce your last name?
Kassir. Kassir.
Wait, what?
It's different. So what I tell people who are not Arab or Muslim, Kassir. But in Arabic, it's Qassir with a qaf.
Qassir.
Qassir, which means short in Arabic.
Okay, I'll try to remember that. Okay, so this interview is for you. Hopefully, you love our conversation and you don't mind us asking questions. And this interview is for you, so you do have the option whether you could answer or you don't have to answer it.
For sure. I mean, I can't imagine what you'd ask that I don't want to answer. So I'm an open book, my dear sisters.
Okay. So first thing, for our viewers who are watching and they might not know what we're talking about, could you please summarize your story and your experiences for them?
So my name is Amal Kassir. I am a Syrian American Muslim woman. My father, he's from Syria, but my mom, she is very American from Iowa, and she converted to Islam when she was 15 years old. So that's young, right? And when I was growing up, I didn't have just one culture in my house, right? I had the Syrian culture and the American culture, but above all of it, it was the Muslim culture that really made me who I was. And when I was young, I was always very passionate about social justice, making sure, that the homeless people were fed and that people who were being treated badly by their governments, that they were represented and spoken about. So the first poem that I ever wrote was when I was 13 years old.
Oh.
It was either 12 or 13. Honestly, it's so long ago, I can barely remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what an age to be, right? That's where you start. It all starts where you are right now. And for me, that's how it was. And I started writing, and I didn't know what slam poetry was. I didn't know what spoken poetry was. All I knew was that I wanted to get the truth out. And so one day at my high school, they had a slam poetry competition, which is this big competition where everyone comes together, tells their stories, and they compete, and you get judged by 5 judges. And so the first year I lost, but the next year, I know, right? We always have to lose in order to win. That's an important lesson, because the biggest failures in life should have the biggest lessons, right?
You learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. And I certainly did, because the next year I came back, I ended up taking first place, alhamdulillah. And then that allowed me to get onto a team. And then our team won first place internationally out of like 6 or 7 poetry teams. And we won with a poem about Syria. And to be honest, ladies, it was one of the first, I was one of the first women on that stage who like wore a scarf. And when people saw me, they knew I was a Muslim, you know, and it was, alhamdulillah, the video went viral. And from there, I was speaking about justice and Syria above everything else. And I've been traveling and speaking and sharing poetry ever since then.
Wow, that's really cool.
Alhamdulillah, it's a gift. I didn't know that this wasn't a goal. Sometimes life, it hands you your path, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does. You know, life does give you an opportunity most times.
yeah.
So we're gonna start with the questions now. You know, you are so many things, different things. You're an activist, you're a motivational speaker, and you know, you're so many more things. So which one did you become first, and which one do you like the most?
That is a very great question. Wow. You know, it's weird because I've always been known as a poet. Like before activist, before anything else, people call me a poet, but I never called myself that, you know?
Oh.
Growing up, like I thought I was just writing speeches. And when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an artist when I grew up. That's what I want to be. I wanted to be a painter. I actually have a painting back there. It's not very good, but it's a painting, and I love to paint. But I think of all of it now that I'm 24, I'm about to be 25 next month on June 6th. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's 3 days before her birthday, June 9th.
You're June 8th or June 9th?
June 9th.
June 9th, so I'm 3 days before you. I'm June 6th. That's amazing. Happy birthday. Wow. How old are you going to be?
6.
Oh my gosh. 6 is a great age. I remember being 6 years old. But now I'm 25 almost. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think if I were to describe myself happily as anything, it would be like an artist. Even though I'm not a painting artist, poets are artists, and people who make YouTube videos are artists, and anyone who creates something. That's what it is. I love to be a creator, whether it's speeches, whether it's poems, whether it's paintings. But the thing I became first was a poet, and that title was given to me. So.
And which one do you like doing the most? Do you like, you know, being an activist more, or motivational speaker more?
Activism is a duty. It's like for me, it feels like I have to give back, you know, and it's like being a student. Does anyone really like to be a student and do their homework? No, but you have to do it if you're going to get where you need to go, right? I do love to learn though, and I think of all my favorites, let's see. I think a writer. I think that's probably, you asked my favorite, right?
Yeah, which one do you like doing the most? Like, which do you like most? Yeah.
Activism is fun, but I love speaking. I love speaking. I love sharing information with people and having conversations like this. This is my favorite part of what I do, for sure.
So what's your favorite part in a conversation? Like, where you tell about yourself, or do you hear more about the other person?
It's when a new question comes that I never thought about before.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
right?
Yeah, it's like, you know, like that, like when a new question comes in, it's like you learn more about yourself too. It's like, you know, like, oh wait, that, and then, you know, you get that feeling, right?
Exactly. And you would know, you ask questions, right? That's like, and it's to be curious and to have curiosity given to, it's really a blessing. Like not everyone gets the opportunity to sit down and talk about themselves. So I know I'm very lucky, but I think like when a good question comes your way and you don't even know how to answer it, you want to know what everyone else thinks, you know?
Yeah.
Like I have a question for you two. Can I ask you a question? Turn the table.
Sure, go ahead.
This is a question that I ask everyone on my travels, whether they're young, whether they're old, whether they're rich, whether they're poor. But if you could change the world in one way, what would you do to make the whole world different?
Make them happy?
Oh, that's a beautiful wish. I think that's a good goal.
Yeah, well, there's two things. One is like peace on earth,
And one is happiness.
Yeah, peace
Yeah.
on earth. I don't want any fightings or like, of course, bullying too. Bullying is so common, and like helping the poor. I want everyone to have a normal life. And,
MashaAllah. Beautiful answers. And I think at the end of the day, everyone's answers kind of fall into this. Like,
yeah,
no matter what, even if you yourself are someone who maybe you're a bully, when you really ask the bully, what do you want to change the world with? They probably have a similar answer to what you guys just said, right?
yeah,
You all want to see the world a better place. So
yeah,
to happiness and then peace on earth and to end bullying. It's a
yeah,
great answer. And I guarantee you, the more you grow up, the more your answer is going to change. It's going to become more specific or more broad,
yeah, we're better.
Yeah.
How do you have so much confidence on stage because of so many eyes watching you?
Like, ooh, that's a great question. So I think, so when I was a little girl, when I was like 6 years old, about to be your age, I was actually an actress in my school play. And I was the main character. Her name was Sally, right? I went to a private Islamic school. So it wasn't a big audience at the play, but I always loved to perform. I always loved to act because I felt like I had so much energy inside of me and I just wanted to share it with everybody. But then as I got older, I think the reason why I have confidence on stage is because I believe in what I'm saying. I really think that justice is important. I think people need to know the truth about what's happening in the world. And it was so that when I got up there, I knew that even if people disagreed with me, I was speaking for the right reasons. And that gave me courage. Because it's not just confidence. You have to be courage because sometimes people will go up there like, people in power and they'll say horrible things and they'll lie and they'll be confident doing it. So I think being truthful and being courageous is very, very important, and it will build your confidence over time.
Wow, that's an amazing answer. I mean, I really like that. That actually, is uplifting, upraising.
I just have one more question.
Please, what's your question?
My mom says I have to sing. I want to be a singer, but my voice is not that very good. It's just a little bit high. So how do I fix it?
You have to practice. You have to practice every day, even if it's just 5 minutes every day. You have to practice, and that's true for no matter what you do, even whether you're an interviewer, whether you are a painter, whether you are a poet, whether you are an engineer, right, or an astronaut. There's always some sort of practicing that you have to do so you can be the best version that you can be. And remember that you love to do this. Don't ever let people make you feel like you're not good enough. That's the worst thing, because people will always try to put you down. But if you're like, I love to sing, I practice every day, I'm gonna sing my heart out. That's the key.
That's a really good answer.
It's very important to remember because I've been doing this for a long time, So these are some very important keys in life.
What did you want to be when you were little? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a motivational speaker, or did you want to be something different?
No way. I wanted to be a painter. I'll tell you a story. When I was 7 years old, I used to draw comics, and I used to. You did the same?
I don't draw comics, but I draw like the characters, like my own heroes, or those.
Same here. My character was Cat Girl and Dog Boy, and I would force my little brother to act them out with me. And we'd have all these adventures, and we'd save the world and protect people from injustice. We were superheroes. And I remember, I don't know why this happens to me. And I think of all the young kids out there who are just like me. But one day I was like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at painting. And I literally held a funeral for my sketchbook. The book, I would draw everything in. I was like, I had tears in my eyes. I was living in Syria at the time, and I was like, all right, this is the end of my artist career. And I put my sketchbook in the trash. And I think, like, what a crazy thing to do. Very dramatic, first of all.
Yeah, that is dramatic.
But I don't know why I gave up on that dream at such a young age. But I think sometimes I believe in life. Everybody has talents, everyone has skills, and everyone has a gift. I think for some people, gifts come naturally, right? And for me, I didn't know what my gift was, but I knew it wasn't drawing. But drawing is a skill, and I have gotten better because of YouTube videos and practicing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's always important. Try to know what your gift is, what you're naturally good at. And some people, it's giving advice. Some people, it's asking questions. It's storytelling. It's writing. It's math. Everyone has something about them that Allah gave them, you know. And think about it. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he didn't even know how to read or write. But what was his gift? His gift was people. He was so good with people, you know. So everyone has something that they can offer the world, and talents can be developed and skills can be learned. And even with a gift, you have to practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. So
Never
how did
forget
how did you become a motivational speaker and an activist? How did you become all those things?
You know, it's an interesting thing the way life works, because so I was doing just poetry and I was writing, and when I wrote my first poem when I was 11 or 12 years old, so it wasn't 12 or 13, it was 11 or 12, right? And when I wrote that piece, I had the United Nations in mind. When I wrote that poem, I was like, I am going to say this poem to the United Nations. It was going to be a big piece.
Wow.
In retrospect, when I look back at my poem, it was not good enough for the United Nations. Oh my goodness. The word fat-free ice cream is in the poem. I talk about all kinds of goofy stuff in there, you know? But when I wrote it, I knew I was thinking big, right? And I think that's so important. Always let yourself dream big, even if it doesn't happen. I think there's a quote that says, always shoot for the moon, and so that even if you miss, you end up on a star.
Oh wow.
Right? Always dream big. And for me, having the United Nations in mind meant I wanted to go as far as I could to tell the world the truth. That was my whole entire goal. And you guys want to know something?
Yeah.
Last year, in March, I was invited to go and speak at the United Nations. And here's the thing, I was 11 when I had this goal, 11 or 12, and then I'm 24 years old now, and I'm invited to go to speak at that very place that I started dreaming about. It was such a gift. And I didn't read that poem that I wrote when I was 11. Definitely no way. But we started somewhere, and subhanallah, I didn't even seek out this opportunity. It came to me, and it was such a gift. So a lot of what I went through in my life was motivated with a good intention. If you want to get rich and famous, and that's all you're going to do whatever it takes to get rich and famous. But if you want to save the world, rich and fame, that's going to be like on the side. You're going to move right through that. You're going to have the same goal, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're famous, whether nobody knows you, you know. And I think I got where I am today because I had my eye on the prize. And that prize was telling the truth to the world. But for technical terms, that video, when I told you we won that competition on a team, that video went viral, right? That video went viral. So a bunch of people saw it. So people started inviting me to their conferences, to their protests and their communities. And that's really where I began. I was 17, I think. I was 16 with the competition, 17 when it started.
He's a teenager right now. Happy's a teenager.
Yeah.
You're 13 years old?
Yeah, I'm 13.
13, and you're 5 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and you're gonna have all these memories. It's crazy. You're gonna, time's gonna.
I remember my snow day one when I was like only 3.
You remember from 3 years old?
Yes.
She has really good memory, mashallah.
MashaAllah.
Tell you the story. So we were going on a walk on the snow day, me, hubby, and my dad, and then we made a snowman on my dad's car, and then we went for a little walk to the park. Then we came back, and then we took a picture of the snowman, and then we sent it to my mom, and then my mom said this. It was just so funny. She looked at it on the pic. She looked the picture, and it says it looks like a ghost.
That is an amazing. You are a good storyteller. Did anyone ever tell you that?
She tells a lot of stories. Like they're really good stories.
Do you write? Do you write your stories down?
Yeah, she does.
I'll tell you, young lady, the best way to keep your memory alive is to write. That way, when you're 25 and old like me, you'll be able to remember memories from when you're 3 years old. Make sure you write. And sing.
So as I saw, you're wearing a hijab. So when did you start wearing a hijab?
Oh, I was actually 11 years old when I started wearing the hijab. And the reason I started wearing it is the first time that I wore it in public. So I was in a private Islamic school, right? So on Fridays, it was uniform. You had to come with hijab on at the school because, you know, we were going to pray Salat al-Jum'ah. They wanted to like teach the girls young. But before I went to school, we had to drop my brother off at the airport.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to go out into the world, into an airport with my hijab on. And I walked into the airport, and I remember just being like, wow, I feel so big. I feel like even though I'm just a kid, I'm just 11 years old, I feel like I have so much to say. And so when I wore it, it gave me a lot of confidence. And it gave me the idea that like, I am happy to be different from other people. And I am happy to represent this thing on my head, you know, because my mom wore it and people would say very mean things to her. It was after September 11th and everything. So like, I grew up seeing my mom handle that. And I was so inspired when it was like my turn. And I would practice. If someone said this to me, I'm going to say this. If someone does this to me, I'm going to say this, you know?
Facts.
Yeah. So I was prepared, and it's not always easy, you know. Some days your hair looks extra cute. I just got a haircut, you know what I'm saying? And some days, you know, you are just like tired of people staring at you. But I think for me, I always liked the idea that when people saw me, they knew I was a Muslim. And if they wanted to talk to me, you know, they'd be like, hey, maybe Muslims aren't so bad.
Yeah, you're proud to be a Muslim.
Alhamdulillah, absolutely. And you don't need to wear hijab to be proud to be a Muslim. You just have to know who you are. That's the key, knowing who you are.
Yeah. So when you started wearing a hijab, were you scared or were you confident about it? Because like, you know, I've been actually thinking to wear hijab for a while. My uncle, my parents have been telling me, well, they're not forcing me, but they're giving me a choice, which I'm glad. I want to wear it, but there's just something, I don't know what is just stopping me. Either it's the fact that like, you know, I won't look good, or people might say something to me, and you know, because you know, we can't show anyone our hair besides, you know, the girls and our dad. So were you confident and scared? Did you have these thoughts?
So I'm definitely different from a lot of the experiences of my friends, right? And for me, the idea of not looking good, that only came after I got married. Where I was like, I don't know if I'm pretty enough, if we're out in public, is he gonna like the way you know, silly things like that. But when I was growing up, like, I think I was so focused on how proud it made me feel to be able to represent something so big. Because and I was never scared. There was one time that I was a little bit scared, but I was probably like 19 or 20, and I was in Ohio, and I was by myself, and I was getting gas, and there was like a scary man who was looking at me, you know, in a big red truck with his American flag sticker. And I was like, that was the only time in my life where I was like, maybe I'd be safer if I wasn't wearing my hijab. But that was only one time that happened. And I think for the rest of the time, like, because I've been wearing it for so long, it's so embedded in who I am. And of course, we're going to look prettier without it. Of course, like there's no doubt about it. And back in Colorado, when I was growing up, we had girl parties so that we could all let our hair down, and we could all relax, and we could all like still be beautiful, because it's hard. Even if you scroll on Instagram, everyone is so beautiful, and everyone is so like, even with hijab on, it's the insecurity doesn't go away, hijab or no hijab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you're ready to do it, you're gonna be ready even if it's hard. You know what I mean? And it's something like, give it as much thought as you can and know what you want out of it, so that on days you feel like giving up, you can remember why you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I know that your mom used to face discrimination? Did you specifically face discrimination?
Oh, girl, I would never recommend reading YouTube comments on videos like mine, but there was always discrimination, for sure, always. And that's the thing. People are just rude sometimes, no matter what, right? But I think I handled it well, because I'll tell you one time. So my dad has a restaurant in Colorado. If you want to know where I got public speaking skills, it came from being a waitress at my dad's restaurant. Where
Oh.
you sit there, oh, for sure. And actually, if you look into it, all like major CEOs and like billionaires in the world, they all were waiters at one point in their life.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to interact with all kinds of people.
Yeah.
We have people who'd come into our restaurant and look at me and be like, I don't like Muslims, but I like hummus. And they'd sit down and they'd eat the hummus and they would love the hummus. And then you know what I would do? I would crack a joke and make them laugh.
That's good. Yeah.
Once you make someone laugh, girl, they don't have any more weapons in their heart. They are disarmed,
Yeah, because then they're like, oh, this person is really funny and nice. Because when I think that humor is like really good. It should be something. It's something that should be with everyone. Make someone feel better and happy, and have kindness.
Absolutely. And laughter, it releases chemicals in the brain that make it so that, like, even if you don't want to laugh and you're laughing, your heart lightens up. I heard that like the Prophet, Sallallahu, he was funny. They said that he used to make jokes with people. I was like, I didn't learn that in Sunday school, but it doesn't surprise me.
Either. I didn't know that.
It's such a beautiful idea. I'm listening to the story of Muhammad by Yasir Qadi, and like he's talking about the color of his hair and his eyes and like his sense of humor and the way he would react and what he'd do if he was angry or what he'd do if he was sad, And so it's great because like the fact that he made jokes, I like to make jokes all the time. And if no one's laughing, I'm laughing, trust me. Someone's laughing at my jokes, even if it's
Yeah.
so. But there was this one time at my restaurant when these people came, and there was a table of 3, 2 women and 1 man, right? And the man was very rude. You could tell he did not like Muslims when he walked in. You could tell. He made it very obvious. He wasn't saying thank you. He wasn't being kind and anything. But for me, I was like, you know what? We're going to be nice to this person. We're going to be extra nice and smile a lot. And, I did my thing. I gave them hummus. I cracked my jokes that they didn't laugh at. And at the very end, you're not going to believe it. Before he left, the 2 ladies left, and he pulled me aside and he's like, you handled me very well. Like, I was unkind to you, I was rude to you, and still you treated me with kindness. And he's like, thank you so much for that. And then he left, and he gave me a very good tip. So and
that was nice of him to say that to you.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't easy for him.
Yeah. Like, when you're being kind to someone and they're not, like, the Prophet, he used to be kind to everyone, like he was kind to everyone, whether they were mean or nice, he was still kind. He was generous. He's like, that was like, I think that's like the best part. Well, I like everything about him.
Yeah.
But I like, for being kindness I think should be really important.
Thank
So
you.
I think that was like the best quality in him, in my
Even someone who doesn't like Muslims or doesn't like, someone who might be racist or someone who might have all of these feelings, if they are kind to you, they have made the decision that even though they themselves have these personal feelings, they're going to treat you with respect. And that's beautiful. I agree. That's my favorite thing about Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the fact that he was kind, the fact that he was nice.
Yeah. So as you know, bullying is very common in the world, and especially in the US too. More than 160,000 kids in the US don't go to school because of the fear of bullying.
Wow.
So Muslim or non-Muslim, what advice would you give to someone if they were being bullied?
So this is very important advice, and it's very important to be known that like a lot of times, and they've done studies on this, the scientists have looked into this.
Yeah.
Bullies themselves have a lot of issues. They have a lot, you maybe their parents abused them. Maybe they were bullied. Maybe there's some sort of sadness or something broken inside of them that causes them to do this. There's a quote, hurt people hurt people. When you are hurt, you're more likely to hurt someone. If you're having a bad day and someone bothers you, maybe like your little sister, your little brother, you're more likely to like lash out on them, right? If you're already having a bad day, you're more likely to be meaner if something comes up. And I think for a lot of bullies, you want to know something? I hate to admit this, but honestly, when I was in 4th grade, I was a little bit of a bully myself to one girl. And you want to know why I bullied her?
Why?
She was so much smarter than me. Smartest girl in the class. And so I was like insecure about myself. I didn't feel like I was smart. I didn't like, and a few years later, I had to send her a message and reach out and be like, I am so sorry for being such a bully. I was jealous of you. I was jealous that you were smarter than me. You were, everybody respected and knew that like, if you wanted help, go to her, and I hate to admit it, but I was bullied a lot when I was in Syria too, and there was no reason for them to be mean. So the advice for everyone is, number one, remember that when someone is hurting you, that is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. Just because they're being like oppressive to you and mean to you, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And you have to hold on to that as tightly as you can. And remember, you are valuable, you are important, and you are not what these people say you are. And I know it sounds like a small piece of advice, but even when you grow up, you have to remind yourself that, okay, these people are mean, but this is not me, and this advice, I'm giving it to myself too, and number two, sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, but sometimes you have to walk away. And if you are bullied, always defend people who are getting bullied. If you know that experience and you see how much it hurts, stand up for other people. And a lot of times you face the bully, they don't have the courage. They don't have the truth behind them to stand up for that. They'll just say something mean, not something honest. So number one, remember that it's a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. Number two, if you have to, stand up for yourself, or if you have to, walk away. And number three, make sure to defend other people. So those are pieces of advice.
I know you're from Syria, and well, I don't know that much about Syria, but we watched this little Islamic show. It's called Omar and Hannah. It's a cartoon, and over there we saw this video. It was kind of sad. It was sad, and it's about the story of Sufi. He's a little boy who lost his parents. You want to tell the story?
No, it's so sad.
Shy.
Tell her.
No, you tell halfway. I could tell some
Okay.
parts.
So it's about a little boy named Sufi, and he lived in Syria. Our aunt told us that that happened in Syria, and he had such a great time with his family. And then one night he woke up, and his mom was like, "Come on, we have to leave." And then we found out that they were refugees, and they couldn't wait for the dad, and they left the dad behind. And then the mom and Sufi got on a boat. And you want to tell them what happened next?
There were Syrian people on the boat, and then a wave came, and then, Sufi was wearing a life jacket, and then a wave came on top of them. The mommy died, and I think the Syrian people died, I guess.
Yeah.
And Sufi didn't because he was on the reef.
Yeah, he washed up on a shore. And refugees, like, that's actually really sad, the result of it. So does that still happen in Syria?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it's not just Syria. There's a lot of countries in Africa, places like Afghanistan. A lot of places have refugees, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's so heartbreaking because the only reason these people are refugees is because there's war in their country, and there's a lot of like racism that's come out because of refugees, like the president was talking about how we need to ban all Muslims, and that's because of the refugees. Can you believe that in America?
Yeah.
And the situation in Syria is very hard. My family, like, obviously we want to keep this lighthearted, but my family in total, from my aunties, my second cousins, my dad's uncles, the whole family, we've lost 49 members of my family in the war. Subhanallah, may Allah give them straight to Jannah. We know that when you die in a war like that and you're an innocent, you go straight to paradise, and subhanallah, it's very hard, but they're very faithful people. And it takes courage to be a refugee, right? For Sufi to even get on the boat, for his mom to even decide, like, we are going to go to a new life. It takes a lot of courage to go and try to start a new life. And maybe the story didn't finish, but once he grows up, he's going to know the value of life because of how difficult it was, And it's like,
You can finish.
no, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Now I'm gonna ask you the basic questions. The questions. What is your favorite color or colors?
Ooh, I love the color green and the color purple. I love them.
Is it a good match, or they're cool colors?
Oh, the first time I ever loved flowers as an adult, I was like 17. I was walking, there was snow on the floor, and there was this flower, this purple flower that was popped out even though it was snowy. And I was like, what is this? This is impossible. But the flower is called the crocus, and it's my favorite flower, and it's a purple and green flower.
Oh, wow. I think I should search up a picture of that. Maybe you could send me the name.
I will. It's so beautiful that it grows in the snow. That's a tough flower right there.
Yeah, I've seen so many pictures sometimes, like flowers growing in the snow, but I've never seen one in real life. Like, that's just so cool. Like, they're like, we're coming out early.
And I never forgot that flower, because it was like, as a girl, a little girl, I loved flowers. But then, like, you get all political activists and you forget about flowers.
Yeah.
It's true what they say, stop and smell the roses. And that day I was like, wow. So I love flowers. But
literally smell the roses.
Yeah, exactly. So you can remember what matters.
Okay. What's your favorite Syrian food?
That's her favorite question.
My favorite Syrian food? Girl, that's a big question. No matter what, I love hummus. I'll eat hummus every day of my life and I'll be happy.
What is hummus?
Hummus is made out of chickpeas. It's chole. It's made out of chole. Yeah. I'm married to a Pakistani guy. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're Pakistani.
You're Pakistani? Where in Pakistan are you from?
Well, my parents are from Pakistan, like Lahore, but me and my sister were born here in America.
Wow. My husband is from Multan, so inshallah, I'm gonna be going to Pakistan next year. I cannot wait.
Yeah, we just came from Pakistan well, I came from Pakistan in January. She came back in February.
Wow. I hear it's beautiful and it's rich, and I'm learning to cook all the food. I can make dal and saag and chole and chicken tikka. I can make chicken
Oh,
makki.
what's your Pakistani food so far?
Oh my gosh, my favorite? I love me some saag with some aloo in it. I love saag. And I'm still trying to learn how to make pratas, but shirmal is my favorite bread. I love shirmal. It's so delicious.
Wow.
What are your hobbies and interests?
Interest.
My interests and my hobbies. I love to paint. I love to write. I love to go on walks and look at birds. My interests are I like to know how people work, like psychology and sociology. Those are some of my favorite interests. I love to read books, and yeah, I like to follow cool art on Instagram. I love art.
Me too. I love art. I always do sketching or drawing.
Hey, do you have a knack for it? Like, is it one of your skills, your gift?
Yeah, I started improving and improving. Well, I didn't really. Well, I used to draw more, and then I stopped for a while. But now I have like this art book where there's like prompts in there, and I'm gonna start drawing in there to improve my drawing more.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. My friends are artists. She's a painter, and she told me just practice, practice, practice. That's the key.
Is there anything you would like to say that may benefit people who are watching?
You are a great interviewer, by the way, young lady. Gosh, I mean, I feel like I've talked so much. I'm always a little shy that I talk too much, to be honest. But I think, especially if you're young, just know who you are. You know, when something comes up, when someone's like, what do you believe about this? You know what you believe, know what you stand for, know what you're willing to fight for. And that way, when the bully comes, it won't affect you that deeply. And when it's time to stand up for the truth, you will know exactly what you're standing for. And it's hard because the older you get, a lot of insecurities. The world's always trying to tell you there's something wrong with you. You're not beautiful enough. You're not this enough, you know. But when you know who you are and you know what you love, and that deep down you're a good person, even if you get a little insecure sometimes, you'll be able to stand by what you believe in, you know.
Yeah.
And that's advice for 25-year-olds too, you know. It's for everybody.
So that was our last question, and hopefully you enjoyed this interview.
We
Thank
could
you so.
interview you again.
I would be honored anytime.
Thank you so much for accepting our interview request. It was such an honor interviewing you. We were so excited. We were like, when is the interview gonna happen? We were just so excited to interview you.
You know,
I was excited the most for you to come interview. Yesterday I was like, are we gonna interview you? And then my mom said, no, tomorrow. And then I'm like,
well, you know what? Of all the interviews I've ever done, honestly, this one feels like it's the most important one and the most special one that I've done.
Aw, thank you. That means so much.
Honestly, it really, and let me know how I can share this and tell more people about you and your guys' work, because you have a good head start, young ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will do another interview with you in the future. And
I hope I get to interview you. How about that? What do you think, ladies?
Should I do an interview with her? Yeah, I would like to.
That would be amazing. What do you, before we end this though, what do you guys want to be when you grow up?
a doctor, singer.
She does a lot of things. She mostly does like the ones like firefighter, police officer, the ones that help.
Right.
But my most favorite ones that I want to be is doctor, artist, and singer.
That's amazing. You want to know something? My husband is a doctor. So if you have any questions for him, he will answer any questions you have. Deal?
Deal.
He'll tell you all about how to become a doctor.
Thank you so much once again. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much, and hope and I'm gonna like reach out to you for advice because you know you give out such good advice.
Appreciate that. Any goodness comes from Allah. Any mistakes come from me. But what do you want to be when you grow up, young lady?
I have well, I'm you know to be decided. You know, I like baking, but I'm also more good in drawing and you know like arts and crafts. Yeah.
Sketching.
My mom and dad, my parents think that I'm like more good in arts and crafts.
What about sketching?
Sketching, yeah, sketching I'm good too.
What about journalism? Gosh.
Well, my mom wants me to do. My mom was asking if I could take a journalism class.
I think my mom told me about it, but I forgot what she said.
Yeah. I think there's so many options. And honestly, we live in a world where, like, when you're trying to decide what you want to do, try to decide how you want to benefit people. And then the work will do itself, you know? So anytime you have any questions, anything at all, like I said, I'm your big sister. All right? Anything you need, I've got you.
Thank you so. Oh, what?
In September, I'm going to first grade, and Happy's in 8th grade, I guess.
First grade? I remember. So you can read now, right?
Yeah, she reads really good.
Yeah, you were reading those questions. You were like using words like benefits, and I don't think I was speaking that wise when I was your age. And 8th grade.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. I know you're trying to get this ended. I'm just.
So much for your time, and hopefully we could do another interview with you. Thank you so much.
I cannot wait. Good night, guys. Assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak.
Mubarak.